You sure you don't need that? Yeah, go ahead. I think you're on.
Okay.
Yeah, you're on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very crazy start to Fertility Fact or Fiction. I am your host, reproductive endocrinology and infertility specialist, Dr. Rahi Victory. I am the founder and medical director of Victory Reproductive Care. And behind the cameras is Tariq Ibrahim from Ibrahim Strategies Group, who is putting together today's rather crazy episode. That is really close up, dude. Look at the screen. Anyways, it is good to see you all. I hope you guys all had a good week. And we had a last minute little camera snafu here. So hopefully that's all fixed. Once again, this week has had absolutely no interesting scientific articles to share with you guys. So it is to your advantage because we will have just a question and answer session. I was hoping to get one of my colleagues on with us this week, but I think he'll be on with us next week instead. And we are excited to have your questions and comments. And hopefully you guys have checked out our new content on Instagram and on YouTube. We put out several new videos there, including a great video on improving your natural fertility. So if you have questions about that or about any of our videos, don't hesitate. And let me know what your thoughts are tonight on the relationship between alcohol and cancer, which is a huge thing for me because I, for those of you that know me, have never had a drop of alcohol in my life and I never will. So kind of interesting to get some feedback on what people thought about that video, because for me it was quite important to get that out there now that Health Canada has finally acknowledged the fact that it is terrible for you. So I don't know if we're already starting to get some questions or not. Hello, Amanda. Amanda calls me her best friend on every single platform available. So Amanda, I'm looking forward to meeting you. And Carly asks if I have food cooked with alcohol. No, I do not eat food that is being cooked with alcohol, Carly. If I go to a restaurant, I actually have to ask if the food is made with alcohol because I will not have it if alcohol is in it. And I know most of the alcohol evaporates and cooks out, but it's the principle of the matter for us. So I do not have food cooked with alcohol. I've literally never had a drop of alcohol before. So yeah, I don't need to worry about that. I also had genetic testing done a couple of years back to see if I had any genetic abnormalities. It was during the pandemic because my family history has lots of cancer in it. And knock wood, I am proud to say that I tested negative for all the cancer genes. So have you done that 23andMe thing or any of those, the effulgent? Dude, I got to get that for you.
I mean, it's going on. Whatever happens, happens.
Whatever happens, yeah. We got some better strategies.
Yeah. Modern medicine has improved those odds a bit.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah, so we got that going on. We'll try that out for you for one of your birthday gifts. Yeah. So we're open to questions. Oh, Carly Steele, I did 23andMe and loved it. So insightful. Carly, what's your genetic makeup? I'm curious to know.
So maybe even a little bit of a disclaimer, not even knowing what the 23andMe is.
You?
Yeah, I don't even know.
Oh, it's a genetic linkage analysis, which tells you what percentage of you belongs to which racial background.
Oh, I see.
Based on linkage analyses where they know that certain gene sequences are more common with this culture and that race and that culture and that race. And so they'll tell you you're like 3% French and 25% Middle Eastern and 15% whatever, right?
Wow,
so my sister didn't. We found out we were part Greek, which we didn't know because we thought we were just Persian.
Oh, I see.
But
there was
I guess
a moment of Greece.
While Greece invaded Persia, Persia invaded Greece.
Yeah.
They were one big happy loving family.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
SMBC Can, hello. So
you're ready at any moment.
I'm ready to go.
I just want to know what this 23andMe was.
Oh yeah, 20. So Fulgent, which is the one I did for my genetic testing, that's a whole other thing. they'll actually check individual genes. But
Oh,
23andMe does linkage
oh, I
analysis.
see.
Yeah, I gotta
I'm
get
sure I
that.
find something interesting about myself.
You probably find out you're more mixed than you think you are.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's what everybody finds
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Victor and T. I just did an egg retrieval. They retrieved 17 eggs. They put me on medication. I got GOR 7 days. GOR, does that make sense? Or is it got 7 days to prevent OHSS?
Yeah.
Yeah. The doctor said some of the eggs are small, so he didn't retrieve all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty normal. I mean, we don't go after every single egg if they're small because they're pointless. So you don't need to do that. So that's a reasonable approach to things, and there's nothing wrong with doing that for sure. Carly says no variants detected for her genetic testing, and she was 25% Filipino and the rest European. You've seen Carly.
Yeah, I've seen Carly.
Carly,
Yeah.
I would never have guessed Filipino, but that's cool. Good
I
for
get
you.
something out there for what it's worth.
I love Filipino people, by the way. We have someone here that's Filipino, and she's amazing. She's one of our favorite employees. So,
There you go.
yeah, hats off to the Filipinos. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During last week's live,
Yeah.
now there's a reference here.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you mentioned
Yeah.
that natural or letrozole FET was better than FET protocols and stims.
Yeah.
FET was not the best option. Why is the
HRT.
stim FET protocol less successful?
Because it raises your estrogen levels, and the higher levels of estrogen are detrimental to doing fertility cycles. So, yeah, that's the reason why. So when you have high levels of estrogen, there is a decrease in the chances. And when you're on an HRT protocol, you're getting high levels of estrogen. So we don't do that. We use letrozole, which has been shown to be the best. Your next best is natural. And then the HRT protocols are the last. Now, for some patients that have thin endometrium, and we reviewed this on a show, was it 3 weeks ago or a month ago? I can't quite remember, but recently, you can actually use Gonal-F to stimulate the lining to grow, and they do actually grow a lining when they couldn't with anything else. And they still had good results with that, and in fact, it was better than trying it with other techniques. So for the patients with very thin lining, actual stimulation with Gonal-F is reasonable, but never just estrogen. Carly, I agree. Chalu is amazing. Chalu, we love you. I don't think she watches our show, but anyways.
She missed the compliment.
There you go, yeah. We'll
I
have
have
to
Dr.
talk.
VNT, 39 years old.
Yeah.
High AMH, so may overstimulate.
Okay.
Currently doing a round of IVF and thinking of doing another one back to back.
Oh,
Thoughts on this?
bad idea. So you will hyperstimulate if you do back-to-back retrievals. You'll just be so bloated, you will feel wretched. So don't do that. Give yourself a chance to recover. And then whether you're doing a luteal or a follicular, doesn't matter, but spread them apart. Don't do them back to back. Even with medium responders, we find that there's a lot of fluid in their pelvis after the first retrieval. And then when you start stimulating them, it gets worse. So try not to do that. That's not a great idea.
Are you doing ovarian PRP at your clinic, and what are your thoughts on it?
We are doing ovarian PRP at the clinic. My thoughts on it are that nobody has proven yet that it works. So we're trying it out, kind of experimental. But I don't know if it works or not. And I'm going to be super honest with everybody about that, because we just don't know if it works or if it doesn't work. Yeah.
Hi. I had a 20-week loss due to preeclampsia, which led to HELLP.
Wow. At 20 weeks?
Yeah, 20 weeks.
That's like unheard of. Okay.
I have a history of HTN.
Okay.
I'm 50.
Oh.
We have 6 DEs left. My OB suggests that I know that I not get pregnant again. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I totally disagree. You should be on aspirin. You should have your blood pressure controlled. If weight is an issue, you need to bring your weight down. But loads of people have HELP syndrome and do fine in their subsequent pregnancies. You just need close monitoring. But I wouldn't tell you not to get pregnant again. And we've had several women that have developed high blood pressure because they're in their 50s. As long as you monitor, you control the blood pressure, you have them on aspirin, you're generally fairly protected. Am I going to tell you you're 100% protected? No, but you're generally protected and it's safe, so you can do that. Yeah.
Hi, Dr. VNT. What are your thoughts on priming with estrogen in luteal phase for uniform cohort follicles or birth control for 21 days before IVF cycle?
Priming with estrogen in the luteal phase has been shown to be detrimental. We reviewed that on the show about 2 or 3 months ago. So it's on our YouTube channel. Go check that out. But you do not want to prime with estrogen because it showed that it cut the live birth rate in half in a Chinese study that was a randomized controlled trial. So admittedly, I never primed with estrogen, and now I never will because of that study. So we don't do it. And you don't really, these days we try and avoid the whole, sort of lining up of the cohort because birth control pill does terrible things to you if you do that, and estrogen appears to do the same thing. Instead, we just tell patients to do more retrievals. Yes, admittedly, I fully acknowledge that that's way more expensive, but it's probably way better for the egg quality. So I'm not a believer in trying to line up the eggs. I got one on TikTok from SMBC Can. Is natural IVF plus minimal estrogen only for lining thickening still okay compared to Gonal-F? Yeah. So if you're doing natural IVF and you have to take estrogen, then take the least amount possible, but only if you have to. Otherwise, avoid it if you can. If you did need a little bit of Gonal-F with a natural cycle, you can do it in the last few days. And that's fine. And we do that all the time. We give 3 days of Menopur, and then we trigger after 3 days of Menopur if the follicle's big enough.
When can I exercise after egg retrieval 7 eggs?
Oh, I would say at least 2 weeks. You need your ovaries to shrink down. If you're doing fairly significant exercise and the ovary is still large, it can twist. That's called ovarian torsion. If you tort your ovary, you're going to be in a lot of pain, and they may end up removing the ovary if they don't know what they're doing. So I would wait until it's fully shrunken, like even ask for an ultrasound first.
First failed FET, PGT tested, did Neupogen flushes, interlipids. ERA showed receptive, age 37. Next steps.
Oh, that's a good one. I guess I would want to know why you were on all that stuff, so I need to know more about you. So get a consult with us. But I mean, I would want to know if there was any signs of infection. I would need to know the sperm quality, DNA fragmentation. There's lots of stuff that we would want to find out about you. So we need to know that stuff before we can answer. But there's definitely a very good chance of figuring out why. The only other thing, because that would be an unexplained failure right off the top without even knowing anything else. PRP has been shown to be very beneficial in unexplained failures. It's like a 50% increase in success. So that's something to consider doing. Platelet-rich plasma infusion into the uterus, but I'd need to know more about you to answer that.
Why is estrase not part of your protocol? Just curious, as my previous says it's needed for FET. What do you use instead? Love you, Dr. V.
Well, I love you too. Just don't tell my wife. So it's we don't use it because letrozole has been proven to be better, and natural is better as well. So what you don't want to do is use the hormones because they have the lowest or least success rates. So the sequence is from worst to best. Worst is estrogen and progesterone together. Then next is natural with progesterone, and then letrozole with progesterone is your best. So you really want to focus on either natural with progesterone or letrozole with progesterone, but you want to avoid doing the HRT. Carly's got an interesting question. Other than drugs and alcohol, is there any foods, chemicals that you avoid in your daily life? So I don't smoke either, never tried. No drugs, no marijuana. I am slightly addicted to chocolate, so I think most of you know that already. And I've actually been trying to lose weight, so I've had like 2 or 3 pieces of chocolate in the last 4 weeks or so, so I'm dying a little on the inside. Aside from that, I try to eat reasonably healthy, so I don't eat a ton of red meat, but I will have some, mostly fish and veggies, and that's about it. Lots of yogurt these days to keep the calories down. Yogurt and granola. It's filling at lunchtime.
Filling for sure.
Super low calories, so yeah.
Hello, amazing team.
Aw, isn't that nice?
Thank you for always answering our questions.
Yeah.
What's the difference between taking Keflex or
Keflex.
Keflex or doxycycline before embryo transfer, and how do they help?
So we know that many women have abnormal bacterial content or cultures in their vagina and their uterus. And it's very clear from studies that if the bacteria is not in the right balance, you'll significantly decrease your chances of success. So as a result of that, a lot of places will give antibiotics to kind of kill off any bad bacteria in the hopes that the good bacteria are abundant and will do the job that they need. So with that in mind, the difference between Keflex and doxycycline is minimal, but there are some bacteria that doxycycline is not great at covering. For example, Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, which are and Enterobacter, which are fairly common in the uterus. And then there are some that Keflex is not good at, like ureaplasma, mycoplasma. So that's why we do the Fertility testing, because we get targeted answers. Yeah. On average, assuming a good lining progression, how long after day 21 Lupron can I expect transfer? After day 21 Lupron, about 3.5 to 4 weeks.
Just had an FET.
Yeah.
Is taking aspirin when on Fragmin redundant? Do they have different functions?
Yeah, they do. So Fragmin is preventing your blood from clotting, but aspirin is preventing platelet aggregation. So they do function differently. In regards to whether or not you need both, for some patients we definitely use both. So for example, lupus patients I believe should take both. But for everybody else, it's probably not critical. So we use aspirin for everybody. We only use Fragmin for patients that either have a thrombophilia, severe recurrent pregnancy loss, methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase enzyme deficiencies, that kind of thing, previous stillbirth, those sorts of things will do it.
How to contract bad morphology from varicocele without surgery? I already have done 2 varicocelectomies.
Oh, wow.
How long before trying to conceive as a man with my wife I should start using HCG to improve my low T and bad semen?
3 months before for the HCG minimum. And then the other things you can do, so watch our video on YouTube. It's our second most popular video, and I'm sure soon it'll be number 1. It's in the men's section on our YouTube channel. It's called the 4 best vitamins the 4 ways to improve your sperm. Yeah, so number 1 is no smoking, no drinking, no drug use. And when I say no, I mean 0. Number 2, ejaculate every day or every 2 days. Number 3, and that's nonstop, not just around ovulation. Number 3, take fertility vitamins. So there are targeted vitamins that are beneficial. And number 4, I would keep your testicles cold. So we recommend guys sit on frozen peas for 20 minutes a day. In particular, when you have a varicocele, that can be very useful, because the whole theory behind varicoceles is that it overheats the testicle. And so if you cool the testicle, you might get a better response.
Is there a point of doing fertility if your fertility doctor doesn't believe in it and likely won't follow recommendations?
Not unless you're going to find someone that's going to help you with the results, right? So no, I guess if your fertility doctor won't listen and you're not willing to switch fertility doctors, probably not that useful, unless you want to know for yourself, because that might kind of act as a catalyst to get you to switch doctors. So it's still good to know. I always believe more information is better than less. But did you say with previous stillbirth you would recommend aspirin from day 1 with FET? Actually, we started even before. So, pretty much at the start of your cycle, we'll put you on aspirin.
Hi, Dr. VNT. We are coming for a consult with you shortly.
Oh, cool.
Can't wait.
Excellent.
What should we do to prepare for this appointment ahead of time?
Bake brownies?
That is really a good idea.
With walnuts. That's my only request.
Will not complain about that.
I do love a good brownie. No, nothing really. Don't smoke, don't drink, don't use drugs. Exercise, diet, those are the main things. If you have information from previous treatment or evaluations that you've done, bring those with you for sure. But aside from that, stay calm, come in, be very hopeful. We generally have some way of helping everybody, so don't hesitate. Come on in and we'll do our best for you.
Hi, Dr. V and T. Hearts.
Oh, very nice.
How can you speed up?
I can't give you likes. I'd give you likes, but I don't have anything I can give you likes. Yeah. You guys can all give them likes.
Yeah,
but
I would appreciate some likes.
You'd like some likes.
Yeah. I had a lap yesterday, stage 4, and the recovery has been a lot more than I was anticipating.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it?
That's it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so stage 4 is rough for sure. There's a lot of dissection, a lot of division of the adhesions and that kind of thing. So it can be very, very uncomfortable, but hopefully they did enough to make everything accessible for you. I did a stage 4 case last week, so I totally get it.
Hi, Dr. V, and awesome tea.
Awesome tea.
Yeah.
Very good.
Putting it out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are... Oh, I did that. I just had to read it again. It's okay. Hi, Dr. V. Last month, I miscarried at 8 weeks from a double day 3 embryo from duostim. Thanks for your videos. Any advice for protocol changes?
Well, I guess I'd want to know why there were day 3 and your age and body mass index and all that stuff. So contact us for a consult. I actually haven't seen anybody do a day 3 duostim transfer. So yeah, get a hold of us and talk to us about what the specifics are so I can help you out. Yeah, that would be important. Carly's asking how long she has to be on estrogen for. 2 more weeks. She's 10 weeks now, and you can stop your estrogen in 2 weeks, Carly. But you got to wean off if you're on more than one. And SMBC, thank you. Anything else you recommend for IVF FET with previous stillbirth? Yeah, I need to know why you had a stillbirth so that I can adjust for whatever the reason was. Definitely aspirin and the heparins. Load up on all your vitamins. Make sure your iron's enough, your vitamin D is enough. Avoid any smoking, drug use. Make sure your weight is appropriate. All of those are risk factors independently for stillbirth.
How many cycles after retrieval is it safe to do a frozen transfer?
1. In fact, there's a Chinese study, which I'm not sure I believe because I want to see more data on it, but they actually said in their study that the shortest period of time from retrieval to transfer actually yields the highest success rate. I'm not sure, so don't everybody panic if you're waiting an extra month, but that study actually said that that was the case in their evaluation. Nobody else has shown that, so I'm still skeptical, but we do know that the longer embryos are frozen for long term, there is a slight decrease in chances. So if you can do it sooner rather than later, that's good.
Hi, Dr. Victory. How do I help that I'm your favorite child?
Oh, she squeezed through, eh? Hi, Jenna. That's my troublesome little daughter. So I love you, honey. And you are my favorite daughter. Yeah.
Hi, Dr. VNT. Had a lap in early January, still waiting on results. First period since, and it was a doozy and a sluggish bowel. Is that common? Any tips?
Sluggish bowel only if you're still on medications for pain, like narcotic medications. Otherwise, no. And usually laparoscopic recoveries are pretty quick, depending on who did your surgery and what they did for you. It should be fast.
What is the main reason to do IUI if sperm numbers and quantity isn't a concern?
Oh, that's a good question. So the only instance in which sperm would be good, and you wouldn't need to do IUI, or yeah, and you wouldn't need to do IUIs if you're trying without an unexplained infertility diagnosis. So, for example, PCOS. But if you have unexplained infertility or endo, it doesn't work unless you're doing the IUI. So that's when you would do IUI. So patients who have unexplained infertility need medication with IUI. Patients who have endo need medication with IUI. But if you have just PCOS, you could just take meds. You don't need an insemination.
Hey, Dr. V, 2 healthy eggs retrieved frozen. First FET was negative. What are your thoughts on the benefits of Fertility based on the price? Any other routes to figure out what may have went wrong?
Well, listen, there's probably millions of routes. I'm a believer in the Fertility stuff, but keep in mind there's not great evidence for this either. So I'm a believer in it because we've seen the results work, but it's not for everybody and it is expensive. Do I think it's worth it? If you only have one embryo left, yes, because $1,500 investment could save you $15,000. So in my mind, that makes a lot of sense. What are heparins and no smoking, drinking, and healthy weight? Heparins are blood thinners. It's HEPARINS. Yeah, no smoking, no drinking, no drug use. Healthy weight. So we're talking about not smoking nicotine, not smoking cannabis, and not drinking any alcohol. And then with regards to healthy weight, ideally your body mass index is in the ideal range, which is like 18.5 to 25. If you're over that, then try and get as close to that as possible. Definitely try not to go over 28 to 30 because that's starting to decrease your chances. And SMBC Can, I'm so sorry about what happened to your identical twin boys. If they were in the same sac, which is called monochorionic monoamniotic twins, cord accidents are very common. As long as your next child is a singleton, meaning just one baby in there, you actually wouldn't need any interventions done. So cord accidents with mono twins is super common. Oh, mono di twins. Mono di twins? How did they have a cord accident? You should message me later because you don't need to broadcast this online. But that would be unusual unless there was twin transfusion syndrome. Yeah.
What is the main reason to do IUI if sperm not
No, we asked that. Yeah.
Can prometrium cause yellow discharge? Currently 14 weeks, 5 days pregnant. Thank you.
No, not usually yellow, white, and lots of it, but typically not yellow. So I'd have someone do a swab, make sure there's no infection there.
How many hours of progesterone do you do for a 6-day embryo?
We finish 6 days and then transfer on the morning of the 7th day or afternoon of the 7th day.
Thanks for the great experience today, Dr. Chelsea.
Oh, thank you. No problem. My pleasure.
Hey, Dr. VNT, what do you use for uterine lining for FET instead of estrase? What is the optimal lining amount for FET?
Was she asking you or me? VNT.
Well, I'll be honest, I would seek your consultation.
Yeah, you seek my consultation. Thanks.
Yeah.
So letrozole, optimal lining to thicken the lining, and then optimal lining thickness, minimum 7 millimeters. That's been shown in lots of studies, preferably 8. That was it, right?
That's it?
Yep.
I have a unicornate uterus and used letrozole ovulation induction in 2019 to conceive my 3-year-old.
Okay.
We are trying for number 2 via IVF.
Okay.
Do you have advice for FET transfer protocol for a unicornate uterus?
No, it's pretty straightforward. It doesn't change anything, so it should make it fairly straightforward. The only issue would be if it's pointed in a strange direction, and they'll have to typically skew where the ultrasound goes because it's off to one side. But otherwise, no, it's not a really big deal. In the worst case scenario, if they don't have good visibility, you would need to do a transvaginal ultrasound guided embryo transfer. That most places don't know how to do. So if they do, that's great. If they don't, you're going to need someone.
Is there any concern with a higher resting heart rate in the 3rd trimester? If my tracker's accurate, it's often been at 110-ish at rest though.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
also often anxious. I have 110 over 80 BP.
That's pretty high. 110 is a pretty fast heart rate. So check your iron, check your thyroid, check your anxiety. All of that stuff would be critical. That's pretty quick for pregnancy. It's not super fast, but it's fast. So get checked out.
Do you recommend getting pregnant on the first ovulation after a miscarriage? Early, less than 12 weeks.
Say that again.
Do you recommend getting pregnant on the first ovulation after a miscarriage? Early hyphen less than 12
Oh,
weeks.
yeah. There's nothing wrong with getting pregnant right after a miscarriage. Years ago, we used to tell people to wait, but they did a study, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago, which showed that there was no benefit to waiting. There's no disadvantage to going forward, so you can just try.
That question you could have referred to me.
That one I could have
That
referred
one
to you.
I could have handled.
Doctor, can I still test positive 7 days post fresh embryo transfer with no symptoms? 7 days post fresh embryo transfer, it depends if it was a day 5 or not. You could test positive that early, although I always tell people not to. So we always tell everyone to wait the 2 weeks.
Based on Gardner embryo grading,
Yeah.
if embryo reaches stage 1 or 2 early, blast on day 5, and then full blast stage 3, 4 on day 6,
Yeah.
then is it considered day 5 or day 6 blast?
The day that it reaches blast, it's considered a blast. The Gardner grading, as far as I know, and I have to double check with my embryologist, does not determine what day it is. So if it reached the embryo stage, like the blastocyst stage on day 5, that's called a day 5 blast. Having said that, it's the day you freeze it that we're referring to the day on. So if you froze it on day 5, we call it a day 5. If you froze it on day 6, we call it a day 6.
What are your hobbies, Dr. Victory? Got any favorite board games?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I like Monopoly. We have some pretty wild Monopoly games.
Does
in
that
our
game
home.
ever end well in your home?
No.
No, right?
No.
I'm just wondering if I'm the only one that almost wants to like destroy their own family members after that game.
We have a few reasonably intellectual individuals around us all time, so we do like to play Scrabble, which is funny because my mother-in-law can destroy everybody at Scrabble, and my wife, God bless her, is an amazing Scrabble player. So she kills me all the time. So we like Scrabble, we like Monopoly. My hobbies, I kind of like cars, so I'm sure you can see that. I like cars. I love watches. I love music and all the high-end audio video gear that goes along with that. And I like to ski, and I like doing water sports in the summertime. So I surf behind a boat, which is called wake surfing, and I wakeboard and stuff like that.
You're just the coolest guy out there. I'm telling you. When I hear this like that, I'm like, this is a pretty cool guy.
I do love cars. That's probably my biggest hobby. Cars. I love a nice watch. I like jewelry. I like women's jewelry, not for myself, but I like buying my wife jewelry. Yeah.
What advice
Yeah.
for an IUI for advanced maternal age? I have plans to do Gonal F and letrozole.
I'd allow yourself to have a couple of eggs, so like 3 or even 4 would be reasonable. Don't let yourself stimulate too long. Make sure you're on lots of vitamins, and have sex every day or every other day leading up to the IUI, and then leave a gap of about 2 days before the IUI. That's a good question. I don't think anyone's ever asked us that.
The hobbies or the IUI?
Both, actually.
Yeah. There's this one board game that me and my wife play.
Okay.
It's called Blocus.
Blocus?
Yeah, it's like Block Us.
Oh,
Blocus,
okay.
Right? And the problem I have with this game, she wins every single time. And I don't understand how it happens. Like fundamentally, I feel she has the strategy. I feel I just dump pieces on the board, but I don't know what her strategy could possibly be because I don't see how this game can have a strategy. So I encourage you to buy it.
Blockus.
Yeah,
Blockus.
go
Okay.
buy it.
All right.
Play it with your wife. Don't divorce your wife after if she wins.
I don't think I get divorced.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
just try and
Too expensive.
just see what happens in that game.
All right.
It's a very strange. It looks like excuse me, like a dumb person game. Like anyone can do it. I just can never win. So I'm losing my mind with it.
It didn't come out sounding right at all.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it really stresses me out, this game.
All right, I'll check it out. Carly's asking, with embryo donation, are there any rules on the child not contacting you when they are older? You're allowed to specify whether or not you want to be contacted. It can be open or closed. Or would it be the same as them being adopted and finding their parents? No, you can specify what you want. I would want to donate my embryos, but I'm so scared to have a bunch of kids finding me in 20 years. No, they would not be able to find you unless you wanted them to, because we're the only ones with the records and we don't have to disclose if you say not to.
Are letrozole and Clomid similar?
Not exactly. So Clomid tricks your brain into thinking that you're not producing enough FSH, so it makes you send out more FSH. Letrozole actually prevents your body from synthesizing enough estrogen, which makes your brain think there isn't enough estrogen, which makes you produce more FSH. So the outcome is the same, but the mechanism is different.
What do you say about PGTA testing in the light of the research study about abnormal embryos and built ability to self-correct?
Sorry, say that again.
What are you saying
Yeah.
about PGTA testing
Yeah.
in light of the research study about abnormal embryos and built ability to self-correct?
So Richard Scott talks about that all the time. There is the ability for embryos to self-correct, but it's extremely early on in the embryo development. It's not at the blastocyst stage. Once you've hit the blastocyst stage, the embryos are not going to self-correct that easily. So in a study by, I think it was David Barad and his group, where they took 144 or 140, no, it's 144 abnormal embryos, one implanted. So you're looking at like a 0.7% chance. So I don't think anyone's going to support that idea because it's just a lot of money for a very, very low chance. So PGTA is pretty accurate. It is not 100%, but it's fairly good. The major issues with it are that you have to know what to do with the results. And so if you're getting abnormals, you really kind of essentially have to understand that those are, abnormal.
I did endometrio.
Endometrio, yeah. That's ERA, Alice, and Emma.
Oh, I see.
All at the same time.
That's a doozy.
It's a doozy. Yeah.
And Emma was abnormal.
Sure.
My recent transfer failed with tested embryo.
Yeah.
2 fails before that.
Oh.
I have endo and did suppression. Would you recommend Fertility?
I would. I don't believe in iGenomics, so I would do Fertility. And then if you have endo, I would need to know what kind of suppression you had. And then I need to know what your protocol was. And you have to absolutely ignore the ERA results. So skip that completely.
Hi, Dr. VNT. In training, does icing the injection site prior to PIO inhibit the ability for progesterone to properly absorb or affect in any way? Hearing mixed reviews.
No one's ever demonstrated that. Keep in mind that your icing is fairly superficial, and most of us have a fair amount of fat over our buttocks. So the icing is just for the initial penetration of the needle. The needle should be going into the muscle. The cold is not going to penetrate that far. Even if it does, it's going to be momentary before it gets hot again with your blood flow. So that's probably of minimal consequence.
When can I stop fragment?
Depends on why you're on it. In some cases, never. Like, not never, but not till the end of the pregnancy. In other cases, 12 weeks. So depends on when you're on it, and don't change anything until you talk to your doctor.
Hi, Dr. VNT. Recently had a lap to remove endo. They also found mild adeno.
Oh,
I'm 39 with
okay.
DOR,
Yeah.
and I've done failed IUI and IVF.
Okay.
The plan was to try IUI after excision. Thoughts?
Whoa. Well, that's a financial question more than a medical question. Your chances are going to be best if you're trying for your own eggs, your chances are definitely going to be better with IVF. So in that situation, we would make embryos, get them genetically tested, make sure they're normal, suppression for 3 months, letrozole protocol, lots of supplements that counteract the endo, and then put in the embryo. If you can only afford to do it once, or one more time because you said you'd done it before, then I guess you got to weigh the benefits of considering doing donor egg. And I say that respectfully. I know it's the biggest swear word in infertility to say donor egg, but you got to consider it. So that's something to think about as well. So I would say either do the IVF and then on your own eggs, and then the full endo protocol, or consider using donor eggs. If you're going back to IUI, that's perfectly fine. And certainly from a financial perspective, I could respect that completely. Understand that your chances would be relatively low, and you're probably talking 5-10% maximum. And you might be eating into some of the time you could use for IVF, especially with the DOR, which means that you could compromise your overall chances if you're trying to use your own eggs exclusively.
What can be done for adenomyosis? My periods are insane. Lots of pain and extremely heavy. Using incontinence pads and still having issues. Can I get pregnant with this?
You can. So if you're trying to get pregnant, there's nothing you can do about the adeno, unless you want to suppress for a few months with Lupron and letrozole and then try, or even birth control pill, which would be reasonable as well, but not nearly as strong. Or if you're not trying to get pregnant, there's lots you can do. IUD with progesterone in it would be a great option. Depo-Provera is a terrible option, but it does work. Or Alyssa, Lupron, letrozole, birth control pill. There's loads of options for you.
What is the healthiest way? Oh, hi, Dr. VNT. Why someone could have many days of positive LH values when using an OPK?
Either a bad OPK kit, or you're actually pregnant and you didn't realize it, or your thyroid is way off and you didn't realize it. Some people do have longer LH surges, and then the other one would be if you had polycystic ovarian syndrome, where what we call it constitutively, but you constantly have very high levels of LH. Any of those would make the kit go positive.
What is the healthiest way to lose weight prior to FET?
6 meals a day, muscle building exercise. So breakfast snack, lunch snack, dinner snack. Keep your calories really low, and you must exercise to build muscle. Walking is not exercise, so please don't tell me that you're walking. You have to do muscle building stuff. I'm currently doing the Beachbody video called Muscle Burns Fat. It almost killed me the first week I did it, but I'm through week 1. So yeah.
Beachbody.
Beachbody.
Look at you.
There you go.
Nice.
I did Focus T25 years ago, so I thought I'd try something different.
I'm working on the golf body.
The golf body, yeah.
Yeah.
This one uses weights. T25 had no weights, which was great because you just jump around for 25 minutes until you're like dying. But this one actually has weights, so I wanted to regain a little
You
bit of
want a
muscle.
Beachbody?
I wanted a little bit of muscle. The summer's coming around the corner.
Oh, man.
Plus, I'm going
man.
skiing soon and going down Whistler. Your legs are just quivering by the time you get to the
Really?
Oh, yeah, you're dying.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, I'm dying. Maybe someone's
I'm probably dead.
Maybe fine.
We've been trying to get pregnant. My husband and I got pregnant.
Okay.
I think that's an update for you.
Oh, was there a previous statement associated with that one?
That's it.
That's it. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, there you go. Have you played Monopoly Deal? so much better than the old Monopoly game.
Oh, really? I didn't even know there was a Monopoly deal. I don't, in truth, we have grown so fast, so quickly. I don't have a lot of time for fun these days because I spend most of my time, literally 7 days a week, just answering people's questions and social media and making videos with this guy and growing new practices. We're opening up in another location soon. We're trying to open up in Europe, so it's going to be super busy for a while.
Hi, Doc.
Hello?
Do low dose stimulated FET with gonal F and HCG luteal support minimize the risk of chemical pregnancies in FET?
No, not at all. It has absolutely no impact on your risk of a chemical pregnancy. Zero. That's never been shown.
Had a miscarriage 8 months ago.
Okay, sorry.
Was 3 months pregnant.
Oh,
Then till now didn't get pregnant yet.
okay.
We did all the blood work and the HSG test as
Yeah.
well. My husband, everything is normal. Can we do IVF?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know what's wrong. It sounds like it's unexplained at the moment, but yeah, I mean, we would want to test you to make sure everything was up to date, but sure, you could do IVF. Yeah.
Oh, this is the previous connecting piece for the previous question I read you about. Got pregnant, had a miscarriage 8 months ago.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
Okay, now we put that all together.
Well, that makes more sense.
Sometimes there's a lot of gaps. People have to know that there's questions coming in.
Yeah,
like rapid fire.
You can't. Yeah,
Like, if you push
follow.
enter and you submit, there's no guarantee
You're
you got the
putting
next
two and
line.
two together.
Yeah. There's no promises for that.
Yeah, I get it.
See, like this question here. I don't know if this is anything at all. Have had 5 unsuccessful IUI.
Okay,
That's all I got. Chris.
there must be more to that one. That person had a follow up somewhere, before or after.
Nothing after.
It's a question fragment.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
All right, next one.
Yeah, go ahead. The other part of the question never made it.
No, I don't have another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
I'm watching people jump on and off at TikTok.
Yeah. What is your opinion on transferring low-level mosaic +7?
Oh, like plus chromosome 7? Yeah, absolutely. It's got a 50-50 chance of turning into a normal embryo. So yeah, that would be fine. No problem at all. We do that. Yeah, we're happy to do that. You got a reasonable chance of success. Go into it prepared for a potential failure because it is 50-50. But as long as you go into it with the right mindset, there's no reason why you can't do that.
For someone with recurrent chemical pregnancies and just tries again, does the chance of another chemical increase?
If you've had recurrent chemical pregnancies, do you have a high risk of more recurrence? Yes. Yeah. Depends on how many you've had, but recurrent miscarriage in general has an association with perpetuation. So yeah.
What days do you monitor progesterone levels leading up to an FET? Example, 2 days before, the day before, 4 days before.
After 3 days of proj, we check. And then depending on where the level is, we might check again. So if you're too high, we'll recheck you the next day and the next day until we get it down to the level we want.
Husband's DNA fragmentation was 19%.
Yeah.
Is that a concern for my ER? I've had 2 prior with low blast rates. I have endo, 2 prior ERs.
So double trigger. Make sure they're doing calcium ionophore oocyte activation. Ask them to use the media that contains GM-CSF in it. And then if you're worried about your partner's sperm, have them ejaculate, but then 3 hours later ejaculate again. The second sample has 80% less DNA fragmentation, so you'll eliminate that as part of the problem. And of course, if either of you are smoking, drinking, or using drugs, that's a total no-go. So you got to be careful about that stuff.
You ready?
Always ready.
My doctor says there's no such thing as too much progesterone. What do you have to say to that?
I don't even know what to say to some of this stuff. Yeah, that's just not true. I mean, you can over progestinize, right? So that's like birth control. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. The the lining of the uterus is hormonally sensitive. We all know that, right? Like every patient out there knows that. So if you flood the uterus with progesterone, it's going to act much faster in response than it would if it was getting what it normally does, which is a gradual buildup of progesterone. So if you just hammer it with progesterone right from the get-go, then you've advanced the stage of the endometrium in relation to the stage of the embryo. That's the whole basis of the ERA test, which, by the way, doesn't work. But the idea behind it is embryos have to go into a uterus that's being exposed to a certain duration of progesterone in order for them to stick and work. So ERA involved like 270 other genes, but just talking about progesterone, we know the level of or the duration of exposure is really critical. So the problem is if you are taking too much, where you should be at day 5, you might actually be more like a day 6 or 7 if you advanced it too far. And if you put in a day 5 embryo after 7 days of progesterone, that's not going to work. That's like birth control. So it doesn't work that way. You got to be super careful about it. I don't know who told you there's no such thing as too much proj, but that's not true. We monitor our proj levels meticulously.
I wouldn't give that advice.
You wouldn't, yeah. Tarek says he wouldn't. Big round of applause for Tarek. Lots of hearts, thumbs up, all that fun stuff. Yeah.
Is 144 picomoles per liter too less or too much progesterone on the day of an embryo transfer? And what is the ideal range?
It would be considered high unless you had endo, in which it would be considered perfect. Ideal range is 40 to 100. For endo, around 150. So you're good if you have endo.
Hi, Dr. V. I was advised to take DHEA, but terrified of voice getting deeper. I haven't started yet, but the side effect is scaring me away.
So I've very rarely seen that. And I've never seen it with DHEA. I've only seen it with testosterone when women were getting high doses. So yeah, I'm not worried about that at all. I've never seen it. Is it a side effect? Yes. You probably have to be on it for a very long time. I actually spoke to a patient the other day who had been put on DHEA for a year, and I was shocked. And I said, any side effects like acne, enlargement of the clitoris, hair development? What about your voice change? She said nothing. Like she literally hadn't noticed a thing. What do you do to monitor proj after FET? We check once and then we leave them alone. At that point, it's either stuck or it's not stuck. So you don't need to keep checking.
What dose is a high beta 12 days post-transfer mean? It was in 600s. I read some correlation with Down syndrome. Is that true?
6 days post-transfer?
What does a high beta 12 days post-transfer mean?
12 days post-transfer mean? Well, the first thing we would think of would be twins or triplets or high order multiples. So no one would think Down syndrome that early. So I would not be worried about that. At that stage, it's mostly going to be twins.
Just had a miscarriage at 6 weeks after transferring a day 6 euploid embryo.
Oh.
This was my first FET. Would you recommend any test before doing another transfer?
Yeah. I mean, it's unusual. It's not impossible, but it's unusual to miscarry euploid embryos. So we would recommend all the recurrent pregnancy loss tests because you don't want to lose more euploid embryos. So fertility, thrombophilia, sperm DNA fragmentation, culture swabs, thyroid panel, vitamin levels, all that stuff.
Are there any vitamins or supplements that should not be taken or can cause negative effects leading up to FET?
Okay, so until I went to Belfast a few weeks ago, I had never heard of too much vitamins. And people would ask me and I'd say, no, it's fine. You probably can't take too much. But there is something called oxidative damage, which is from the free radicals running around in your body, like when an oxygen molecule has one of its electrons ripped off. And so those do a ton of damage to DNA, and that's what causes problems with egg quality, sperm quality, cancer, like loads of problems. Vitamins counteract that, and antioxidants counteract that, and vitamins are generally antioxidants. So when you hear antioxidant, it's referring to, it's sort of antagonizing that effect. However, they're now finding out that there is something called reductive damage as well. And reductive damage is when you actually have too many vitamins. So there's no normal process anymore where this stuff should be in balance. So for sperm, they've actually found that they can measure this with a special machine. And the machine will tell you if you have too much oxidative damage or too much reductive damage. And I actually just ordered the machine. So we're going to have it soon to trial, and we're going to see what the impact is. I don't care about it as much for sperm, although I'm going to use it for that too, for sure. We actually want to test women's follicular fluid and then see what that shows to determine how they do in relation to what the oxidative and reductive damage is. I want to see if there's a correlation.
It's very interesting.
It's cool, eh?
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah. It's not cheap, but it'll be cool to try. So we're going to do a little study on it.
So if you take too much vitamins, generally speaking,
It can be bad.
It can be bad.
Yeah.
So anytime I feel a slight cold coming on, I go crazy on vitamin C. I double up my 1,000 dose. So I'll take 2,000 doses, 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C.
That's nothing.
That's nothing?
No.
I felt it was nothing. But
The
they
guy-
said one of those a day. So I just doubled it. I said, this is for the weak man. I'm the strong man. I
Yeah.
need to.
You know Watson and Crick, the guys that found DNA?
Yeah.
I think it was Crick. He used to take 18 grams of vitamin C a day. 18.
18.
You're taking like 500 milligrams. He's taking 18 grams. So like 36 of those 500 milligram tablets.
Oh, yeah. You
And
got
yes.
room to grow here.
And that was like the limit of toxicity. Beyond that, it's toxic.
Well, beyond that,
But he was taking that much because he thought it was like the...
I share his philosophy.
Yeah, your
I think it's
your
something.
tongue would be cracked like
Oh, yeah,
crazy.
100%. Yeah. Hey, Dr. V&T. How long after starting recommended fertility supplements to improve sperm and egg quality should you wait to start IVF?
It depends on how significant the sperm quality issues are. It takes us 3 months, 2.5 to 3 months to make new sperm. So if there's a real sperm quality issue, you want to wait the 3 months. If it's not huge or it's just like motility, you can fix that within 2.
Does NAC a good
Even
supplement for reducing endometriomas from ovaries?
Oh, nothing will reduce an endometrioma. If you have endometriomas, you need surgery. There's nothing that will shrink it or get rid of it. Even Lupron doesn't shrink endometriomas. Very, very little. So for an endometrioma, you need surgery. For endometriosis, NAC, coenzyme Q10, resveratrol, and curcumin have all shown some slight benefit, but it's never going to shrink an endometrioma.
And Dr. V, Auntie, I recently had a lap. Do you recommend suppression after lap? Stage 2 was found. If yes,
Yes.
what type of suppression? do you
Lupron
recommend?
and letrozole for 3 months. Yeah, for sure.
With respect to deep infiltrating endometriosis, is Lupron always part of an FET protocol?
For us, it would be. I mean, everybody's different, but for us, it would be. If you had DIE, we would suppress you for 3 months, Lupron and letrozole, then use a letrozole protocol, avoid estrogen like the plague, high dose progesterone.
Doc,
I think that's me.
you need to warn people
Uh-oh.
about the taste
Of
of methylprednisolone.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
You know, we were talking about this in the OR the other day where, remember one of the shows, people were telling me to
Yeah.
try it? Yeah, I can't do that. I'm sorry. It's a legal issue. It's not that I wouldn't. I'm a guy that jumped off a mountain with a parachute on my back, but I can't legally take prednisone, just to show you guys that I understand what it tastes like. But I get it. There's tons of stuff we do that cannot be fun. I get it. I really do.
How does HCG for the luteal support do?
I don't do it. It doesn't make any sense to me, so we don't bother. We just give patients progesterone. HCG does not make a lot of sense for luteal support to me. If you were going to use it, you'd have to do it like the pregnancy. So it would have to be like super, super, super gradual, starting at micro doses and then increasing it. It'd be impossible to even titrate. So we don't do that. I think that's a waste of time.
Indications of Recavel.
Oh yeah, someone asked us that in the Instagram. I don't know if you looked it up on the
I
Instagram.
log in. I'm worried I'll log me out. So I stay.
Yeah, so listen, Recavel is a great drug. I love Recavel. We use it definitely in some of our patients that are older. We use it in patients that have failed with other drugs. There's no reason why you can't use it in everybody. We just like to make our changes gradual, so I haven't adopted it for everyone yet. But it is a good drug.
9 o'clock. What do you want to do?
I think that's good. It was like a very full show.
Full, yeah. From 9 o'clock, you were ready.
Do we have your permission to shut down the show? Do we have a ton of questions left?
You have questions left. I wouldn't say it's a ton, but there are questions left. There will be more questions. It's up to you. I can go for a couple more. You want 5 minutes?
Sure. Let's
All
go
right.
5 minutes. All right.
I have endo and addo.
Okay.
How much letrozole do you typically rick with dipolupron,
5
and for
milligrams.
how long?
3 months.
2 or 3 months?
5 milligrams for 3 months.
Okay, yeah. What does HCG for luteal support do?
No, you asked that.
No, double ask there. Preterm birth chances with cervix of 26 to 27 millimeters.
Oh, that's so close. If it dips under 2.5, it's 70% chance that you will, it's a 30% chance that you will deliver premature. If it dips below 1.5, it's a 70% chance.
What hormone or level should be at 150 if you have endometriosis?
Progesterone, 150 nanomoles per liter.
Hi, Dr. V. Between FET and beta day, does any blood work need to be done?
We do one progesterone check, but that's it.
How long after egg retrieval does OHSS typically start?
How long after or before?
After.
Well, almost nobody is getting OHSS anymore if you have people that know what they're doing. If it is going to start, it can start as soon as 1 or 2 days later. Typically, it's like 3 or 4 days later, but almost nobody's getting it. Like, we have to drain people. I've drained one person, I think, in the last 2 years who took the right trigger. And that was like bizarre. I still, to this day, don't understand why that happened. It was really nuts, but that happened.
What do you, Y-O-U capital letters, so this is you.
Okay, yeah.
Not me.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
Do when you have a patient with recurrent early miscarriage that is completely unexplained and under 30 years old?
We do a comprehensive workup. Fertility, karyotyping, thrombophilia screen, sperm DNA fragmentation testing, your history, smoking, drinking, drug use, your body mass index, your partner's body mass index, thyroid panel, vitamin levels, especially D, have you see a naturopath, and then if everything else is clear, it is actually an indication to do IVF to make sure you're producing genetically normal embryos. So that's the stuff we would discuss with you, and then we follow through with whatever you want to do. Last one.
Last one?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on.
Taurus terminal question.
I'm seeing if I can do it. Yeah. This is good. Is it necessary
Yeah.
to do a Receptiva DX biopsy
No.
if I will already be doing 2 months of Lupron suppression for
No.
FET number 3? I'm unexplained and 2 previous losses.
Well, I would do more than Receptiva, and Receptiva does not work, so I would skip that completely. So you definitely don't need to do Receptiva. It's been proven to be useless, so don't waste your money. And we can end on that.
I thought you'd like that
I
one.
love that. I love the ones where we can smash stuff. We gotta find something new to smash. Like, I feel kind of almost bad for Receptiva and
We can bring
Era.
it.
We've kind of pounded those ones to death. We gotta find something new. You know what we should do? We should do a show where we just put up like ridiculous websites where people claim stuff.
Well, I think there's a lot of people on
Do you remember-
Instagram that you can do.
Do you remember the one where they said that here's the natural way to get triplets? And I was
Yeah, I
like,
remember
what?
that.
And it was stupid stuff like have
I like the
sex more
massage one.
often. It was like written by a bunch of horny 13-year-old kids, man. It's so stupid.
Imagination.
Anyways, have a great night, guys. For those of you that are just joining, it's at the end of our show. We start at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for joining us. We love having you all here. If there is anything we can do or any other questions we can answer for you guys, don't ever hesitate. You can contact us. I love some of the banter on social media. I actually had someone who was a patient, not of mine, who claimed that her 4 previous cesarean sections outweighed any of my knowledge, despite the fact that I've literally done probably about 3,000 cesarean sections, including one this morning, in relation to blood loss that was depicted in that House of the Dragon show. So it's kind of funny listening to how like vehement people can get with social media stuff. But I love the comments. I love the banter. I'm always willing to put up a good battle or fight. So keep it up. Throw us all some likes and thumbs up and all that fun stuff and hearts. And if there's anything we can do for you, let us know because we are here to help you. Have a great night, guys. We'll see you again next week.